let's start with the first one. Definition of statistics. Importance, scope of the statistics and its limitation. Okay. See, now, see in this, in general sense of the word statistics mean the facts and figures of the particular phenomenon. Under the reference of the numerical numbers, in the traditional period, the scope of the statistics is very limited to the collection of the facts and figures pertaining the age-wise and the set-wise distribution of the population, wealth, etc. But nowadays, we can say statistics constitutes the integral part of every scientific and economic inquiry, right? So in this era, what you have seen in every research, in every scientific, in every economy, we need statistics, right? So it has been observed that the word statistics comes from the Latin word status, which means the political state. It has been also believed that the word statistics come from the Italian word stato. The word was used in the 15th century for the state. In actual practice, these words were used for the political state or status. Nowadays, hello. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Kindly mute your phones or and this mute all of you because I seem some unwanted voice, so that's disturbing. Please unmute all, right? Okay, now comes to this. Definition of statistics. Now, it has been observed that the word statistics come from the Latin word stat. Okay, this is now comes to this. Nowadays, statisticians use statistics both in a singular and plural sense. In the singular sense, the term statistics is associated with a body of methods for making decision when there is uncertainty arising from the incompleteness or the instability of the information available, making such decisions. See, what happens? The last class I have told you that you got the data, right? With the help of that data, that is irrelevant for your any research, unless and until you do some calculation to find some useful result from that, right? So what the statistician do, he say what he says, a body of method for making decision when there is uncertainty arising from the incompleteness of or the instability of the information available for making such decisions, right? And it's a plural sense. Statistics refer to the numerical statements of the facts such as the per capita income, population, etc. Thus, some authorities have defined the statistics or statistical data, whereas other statistical method, according to the Oxford Concise Dictionary, statistics as treated as a plural numerical facts systematically collected. See, numerical facts systematically collected as a statistics of population, crimes are treated as a singular science of collecting, classifying using statistics. Now, there is some definition of this plural and singular sense. What was that? See, in general, what we have seen, according to some statisticians, there's some definition, right? So, on the basis of above definition, the following characteristics of the various statistics. First of all, statistics are aggregate of facts, right? Single and unconnected figures are not statistics, right? single and unconnected figures is not statistics. So what the statistics we need? We need some aggregate of it, right? For example, a single age of 22 years to 37 years is not a statistics, but a series of relating the ages of the group of people called the statistics. Got it? Because if we got the age of single guy or either 22 or whatever is given, right? But there is no use of that age of that guy unless and until I have age of group of peoples, right? So that group means something to me because we can find something from that, right? For example, you have a age of 15 peoples, right? So with this statistics, you can came to know that among that peoples, how many are more than 20 or more than 50, whatever it is. So you can find out the facts from that, right? Unless until you have the aggregate of facts. That means number of peoples, number of data. Now, second one, statistics are affected to a marked extent by the multiple of causes. Usually facts and figures are affected to consider the extent, considerable extent, by the number of factors operating together. For example, statistics of the price are affected by the condition of demand and supply, imports, exports, currency circulation, etc., and the various other factors. So what we need? We need various factors, right? That means if you got price of some commodities, yeah, you can say you have to find that demand for that, right? Demand for anything. So, or price of something, right? So what's the price effect? Price effects are various factors. What are the demand? What is the supply of that? What is imports, exports, currency circulations, and some government regulations. So that means there are the various points which affect the prices. So we need the various points, fine? Okay. Third one is the statistics are the numerically expressed. Numerical, that means in numbers we can show this. In the last class I've told you that, for example, you are doing research, right? So I showed the point that, for example, there is data of smoking people, right? So how do smoking people's, because smoking is a habit, right? So what do you do for the smoking? Because we need the stats in the numbers. So what we have done, we put some numbers from 0 to 5, no smokers 0, and the chain smoker 5, right? So we numbered it. So that means the smoking habit comes to in numbers, and we can calculate from whatever the facts we need, we calculate from that stats and get the result in numbers. So in numbers, we can again manipulate and show that this is the data of chain smokers, or this is the data of the moderate smokers, and like this, right? So that means we always show the numerical increase. So qualitative expressions like a good, bad, young, old, etc., do not form the part of the statistical studies unless the numerical equivalent to assign to such expressions. We have assigned, for example, 0 to 5, and we make it in the numerical form, right? So it is said that the production of the rice per acre is 9730 quintal. That is same thing, whatever. Now comes to the next point. Statistics are the noted according to the reasonable standard of accuracy. Now, facts and figures related to any subjects can be derived in the two-way. Example, by the actual counting and the measurement or by the estimates, right? Now, estimates cannot be the accurate and the precise as the actual measurement, right? For example, the height of the group of the pupils are being measured. It is a right if the measurements are corrected to a centimeters, but if are measuring in the distance from Agra to Gwalior, the difference of a few kilometers even can be easily ignored. right? So what we need, for example, height. In this example, what do they say? Height, right? So in the height, we can actually calculate the exact height of a person or a group of a person, right? Now, for example, the distance between the two cities. So in the two cities, uh, we can ignore few kilometers in that according to this, because we need some exact we can't find the exact how many kilometer. That is a 130 kilometer, 260 kilometer, 237.8 kilometer, right? In that case, 0.8, 0.2, we can ignore this, or even the few kilometers. So approximately the distance between the two cities, we can write it over for the stats, right? Because we cannot find the exact distance for that, right? So we can approximate, and that approximate is a very close to the distance for that, and we can that estimate we can treat it as a accurate, right? Next, the collected in a systematic manner. If the statistics are collected in the opposite manners, it might fail to give the accurate results. So it is therefore essential that the statistics must be collected in the systematic manner so that they may conform the reasonable standard accuracy, right? So we can write in the systematic manner. Next, the collected for the predetermined purposes. So statistical data are collected in the process for the definite and the predetermined purpose. So in general, no data are collected without a predetermined purpose, because if you're doing research, right? So you're doing research, so you know what I need, right? So that is a predetermined purpose. So you know the purpose of that research. So according to your purpose, you find the data, or you find the factors what you need for the result for that research, right? Place in a relation to each other. The statistics should be the comparable. If they are the not comparable, they lose a part of the part of their values. Thus, the efforts are in collecting them may not be proved to be the useful as the requirement may be. So it is necessary that figures which are collected should be the homogeneous, so that we make them the comparable and the more useful. See, because you are using the facts, right? So you have various factors, right? So what you need to compare that factors also, right? Because if we are comparing smoking with a headache, right? So what is in that? Because you can because there is a reason that in the headache it might be a smoking is one of the factor, right? So that means this is a comparable. You can compare. There is a good relationship between these two facts, right? So you can make some statistical calculation, or you can compare these two facts by statistics, right? So that means there is a good relationship between these two factors. If you find out that smoking habit with rise in prices of uh, national income, or you can say rise in prices of petrol, for example, right? So there is no reason of compare that smoking habit is have a good relationship with the rise in prices of petrol or price of petrol, right? So that means there is a relationship between what you want to find the research. So you need the facts that have good relationship, or you can find the relationship with that is a helpful, right? There is no need to find the smoking habit with the price of petrol, right? Got it? Hello, got it?
Yes.
scope of statistics. Importance and scope of statistics. Okay. Now, the scope of the statistics are concerned with the new dimensions and in the definition of statistics. In other words, we can say, are the statistics are a science or an art or both? Science is a concern with the systemized body of knowledge. It shows the relationship between the cause and effects. Cause and effects. So far, art is a concern. It refers to a skill of collecting and handling the data to draw logical inference and arrival at a certain results. Right? So statistics is a used as a science as well as in arts. Importance of the significance of statistics. The importance of the statistics is now being felt in almost every field of study. Okay. So in fact, it is a difficult, nowadays, there is one career in this statistics that is very booming nowadays. Can you tell me someone that what is that career in that according in this statistics?
Data science.
Very good. Data science. Very booming career nowadays. So people are opting this data science. So related to this stats and mathematics, and these statistics is with the computers merged with this computer. So with the help of computers, those who are very much very good in stats and maths and also in this computer science, they are opting for this data science because in data science, what we have seen that because these very big companies like for example this like Vodafone or say in this Amazon or Flipkart, like these kind of companies, what they have data of in some lakhs or crores, right? Very huge data, right? So with the help of that data, they have to find some useful information from that, right? So the data science person can do these kind of the facts, hidden facts from that data. They are finding the hidden facts. So that career is very booming nowadays. So this is only of this statistics, right? Because from that data they are finding the facts. So this is that they can only do by the help of this statistics. Now, importance. The importance of statistics now are felt in almost every field of study. In fact, it is difficult to mention a subject which does not have any relationship with the science of statistics. Science of statistics. As a matter of fact, statistical methods are the common ways of thinking and hence are used in all type of the person. Suppose a person wants to purchase a car and he goes to the prices of the various companies and makers to arrive at a decision. So what he really aimed is to have an idea about the average level and range of within which the price are varies. So 2, he may not know the word about these terms. No doubt to say that statistical methods are closely connected with the human action and behavior, that all the human activities may be explained by statistical. See, for example, you are going to purchase a car, right? So because there are various companies who are producing the cars, and obviously every company has a various variants. So you have a different options to choose car, right? So what you do, you see the data of this. Data is like there is a list, right? So there is a list, and that list, the name of the companies are written, or their variants are written, right? And their range, the price range, right? So you can easily compare that, yes, in your range, you can pick this car, or either this car or this car or that car, and blah, 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 right? So with the help of that statistics, you can find out this. So that means this is much strategy is much more connected with this human actions, right? Now, importance in the economy. In the study of the economics, the use of the statistical methods are the great importance. Most of the economic principles and the doctrines are based on the study of the large number of the units and their analysis. But the statistical analysis, we can study the ways in which the people spend their income over the food, rent, clothing, entertainment, education, etc. For example, if the law of demand to be analyzed, then we have to make an idea about the effect of price changes on demand, both for an individual and for a market, right? So in economy, this is strategy are very much important, right? For example, you have to find that a person is earning some money, right? So what do you do just for the research? For example, you have done the research for the different age, different income group of person to find out the spending habits of them, right? So that means you got the data of some low income group, right? In the low income group, what are they earning, right? Then how much they spend on the food or the clothing or the rent or education and all this, fine. So you came to know that the mid group of the income of a person, the average income of a person, how much they spend on the different items, like this, fine. So we have make an idea to effect of the price changes or demand for the individual or make the market price. So with the help of that, we can find out, for example, the percentage is the maximum percentage is earning is goes to the food and rent, for example, right? Then government make a policy that for the poor peoples, the food should be, the price of food should be the less, or the rent should be the less, like this. So they can make the policies from that data. Important in the business management. Business managers are required to make a decision in the facts in the face of the uncertainty. Modern statistical tools of collection and classification, tabulation, analysis of the interpretation of the data have been found to aid in the making wise decision at the various level of the managerial functions. These tools are relied upon the arriving at the correct decision in all aspects: sales forecasting, price situations, credit positions, quality control, inventory control, investment planning, and all these things, right? So in these decisions, he needs statistics. The role of statistical planning. Today plannings cannot be formulated without statistics. The problem like our production, unemployment, low rate of the capital formation sector are the major characteristics of developing countries can be understood with the help of statistical data. National Sample Survey scheme was started to collect the statistical data for user planning in India, right? So with the help of these statistics, they can plan how the unemployment with the production or capital formation or whatever the other things, they can plan for these points, right? Statistics in the commerce. Statistics plays a very important role in the development of commerce, right? The statistical data in the some macro variables like income, investment, profits are used in the comparison of the national income. When they compile these points, right? So that means You got a group of facts. So with the help of statistics, you make a decision. So economics parameters are the gifts of the statistical method, and the business of all words make a extensive use of them. The increasing application of the statistical data and the statistical technique in the accountancy and auditing are supported by the inclusion of compulsory paper of the statistical board. So that means with the help of this statistics, commerce people can also make some decision from that, right? Utility of bankers, brokers, insurance companies, right? So what they do, same, they collect, they have a data. So with the help of that, they can make a decision or forecast something for that, right? Importance to state. Statistics are very important to the state as a statistic with the help of the administration in all the fields where the states can keep the accurate of the records and information, and the statistical system are adopted. For example, for making the economic plan, the state has to be collected the data of the information, and it has the estimate of the figures of the national income to find out the real position of the country, right? If they have a facts and figures of people, then with the help of that facts, they can find out that what is the exact need of for the peoples. They can make the policies for that, right? For this purpose, the state needs the statistics for the carrying on this work. The state also needs the data of the roads, transport, communication, financial affairs, internal or external affairs. Now, importance to research. The statistical methods and the techniques happens to be the very useful in getting the public opinion on various problems like facing the society. In the field of industry and commerce, statistics carry the different type of researches. No research without the use of statistics, right? So that means in every research, we need statistics. Okay. Okay. So as you have seen that in every research, we need the statisticians. Limitation of statistics. So the statistics is an important section of the quantitative method of research in the social sciences, physical sciences, and the life sciences. It suffers from the numbers of limitation. Absence of uniformity. In any statistical inquiry, the data obtained from the heterogeneous natures. Heterogeneous means the facts
सर
not.
सर आपका स्क्रीन वन साइडेड हो गया
One-sided means
सर वन थर्ड दिखाई दे रहा है
one side.
यस यस
Wait. Now,
यस सर करेक्ट
now comes to this limitation of statistics. First point is absence of uniformity, right? See, in this statistical inquiry, the data obtained are the heterogeneous in nature. So heterogeneous means not a homogeneous. For example, homogeneous means that the facts which are useful to us, and we can find some important facts from that, right? So heterogeneous means you might be collect some data which are not related to each other. Fine. Which are, we can say, which are irrelevant, not irrelevant in a specific, but it is irrelevant to the compare with the other facts, right? So that means the facts which are irrelevant to compare with other facts, these kind of, we say that is a heterogeneous in nature, right? So statistical methods alone cannot bring the perfect uniformity. Generally, results obtained need to be the uniform and hence will serve no purpose, right? So what we have seen that you might collect the data, right? But the points which are irrelevant, you cannot find the results of your purpose. Now comes to the second point. Statistics does not study individuals. Statistics deal only with the aggregates of facts. Here, single figures, however important they might be, cannot be taken up within the view of statistics. For example, the marks obtained by the 10th student of a class are not a subject matter of the statistics, but the average marks has the statistical relevance, right? For example, the individual got the some marks that is irrelevant for the statistics, but yes, you got the marks in your final examination in the various 5 or 6 or 8 subjects, so that helps in statistics, right? So that means that it does not study the individuals. Statistical results speak about only average. Now, Professor A.L. Bowles has writes remarked that statistics is a science of average. It implies that statistical results are true only on average. For example, if we say that the per capita income in India is rupees 12,000 per annum, it does not mean that per capita income of the members of Birla family and the income of the poor fellows who sleep in the slum area are equal. Therefore, average gives only the contradicting results. Is that clear point? Because if the average income of the India is, for example, 12,000, right? So in the economics, you have seen the terms like a GDP, national product, national income of a state, national income of a country. What you have seen, the national income of a state is are vary from state to state. For example, the national income of, or we say average income of person in Punjab or in Kerala or in Tamil Nadu are different from average income in Bihar or Odisha or northeast state like Manipur and all these things, because they can vary. So what you have seen, why these incomes are vary? Because see, for example, in small territory, let me take an example, right? Let me take an example in Delhi itself. In the Delhi, for example, let me take example. For example, we are comparing the average income or average, average income of people who are living in golf course and golf league, sorry, and average income of person who are living in Jahangirpuri, right? So what we have seen, income of these two groups are different, right? Why are they different? Because what we have seen, we find the income of the each and every person of that area. and we can make the average from that. So average is much higher because people residing in the golfing is having the very high income. So obviously their average comes to the very high. Similarly, in the Jahangirpuri, the peoples are living in Jahangirpuri, they are, below the average, or we can say poor peoples, right? So obviously their income is very low. So when we find the average of that low income group, obviously the facts came to that average comes to be a very low, right? So in journal, what we do for the per capita or whatever the figures we came in this statistics, that is the average of everything, right? Now, statistics can be misused. Statistics is misused very often in the sense of the corrupt man can always prove all that he wants to do by using the false statistics. In other words, of the WA King, one of the shortcomings of the statistics is that they do not bear or their face of the level of their quality. That means with the help of this statistics can be misused, because we know that, for example, from the fact people came to know that the income group of the person who are using in this food. So with the help of that data, they can distribute the food, or they can sell the food items in the bad quality of foods in that area, so that their food is more frequent sale. So that means they can misuse the data from that. Right? Laws are not stable. The statistical laws are the stable on the basis of information available at one stage need not to be true at another stage. The basic data changes, and hence the basic laws governing them also changes. Moreover, what is applicable to the Indian need not to be true in Japan. Right? That means the statistical law that is which is helpful in India, right, and might be not helpful in Japan, because India is a developed country and Japan is a developed country. India is developing and that means developed. So obviously, in the practice, we need whatever the result we need for the development, and obviously that facts, whatever the facts we need for the developing, and might not be helpful in the Japan because they are already developed. So that's right. Okay. Next is statistics cannot be applied to the qualitative statistics. Right? The statistic study cannot be applied to the qualitative attributes like a good, bad, beautiful. For a wholesome coverage, the statistical tool must be applied to the quantitative and qualitative data. Right? Now, see.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
As it is said that statistics cannot be applied to qualitative statistics, like good, bad, beautiful, but this thing will be there in a data. So we have to code it. We have to give numbers.
Yes.
Then only we can apply it in statistics.
Yes.
Otherwise, without coding, we will not be able to apply statistical methods.
Right. So you say now for the wholesome coverage, the statistical tool must be applicable for the qualitative and the quantitative. That means what I've seen that we have numbered some 0 to 5, right? For the smoking habits. I've told you that what we have done this for the smoking habits, we numbered to 0 to 5, 0 for the no smokers, 5 for the chain smokers. So what we have to do, the smoking habits come in numbers. Similarly, whatever the good or bad, for example, good or bad, we numbered as 0 or 1 or 1 or 2, whatever it is, right? 0 is a bad or 0 is a good, 1 is a bad, like this. Similarly, for the beautiful, Also, in a similar way, what we have done for this smoking habit, in the similar we can mark beautiful as a less beautiful, more beautiful, beautiful. Like this, we can number these, right? Got it? Is that clear, beta?
Yes, sir.
सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है
Uh-huh.
सर इम्पोर्टेंट इन बिजनेस मैनेजमेंट स्टैटिस्टिकल टूल ऑफ कलेक्शन क्लासिफिकेशन टेबुलेशन तो यहाँ पे सर स्टैटिस्टिकल टूल मींस
Statistical tools means the formulas जो हम आगे पढ़ेंगे that are called as tools. So, for example, average is a tool. Like average, you are finding the average. ना? For example, मैंने अभी बताया था कि आप एक क्लास में 10 बच्चे हैं आपकी क्लास पे. Let's take example 10 students, right? So among that
Yes.
students I took the statistics test. तो मैं उस टेस्ट में सबके कुछ मार्क्स है, राइट? तो
ओके
मैंने क्या किया, एक एवरेज निकाल दिया. एवरेज इज व्हाट आई हैव एडेड all these numbers and divide by the number of students, whatever the formula for the average. तो formula for the average जैसे मेरा word है, formula for the average, for it is that with the help of that formula, वो formula को हम बोलेंगे statistical tool.
ओके सर इट आल्सो डिपेंड डेटा
Obviously, because with the help of that data you can find the average, na? So obviously data is more important. Got it?
यस सर
Any other question? No. Now comes to the second unit. The first one is clear to all?
यस सर
Okay. Now comes to the type of data collection, primary and the secondary data. Primary data. Primary data are those data which are collected directly from individual respondents for the first time by the investigator for the certain purpose of study. Right? That is a primary data is what? Which are collected directly from individual. They are but the raw materials for the investigation primary data are original in character in the sense that they have been recorded as occurred without having been grounded at all. That means this kind of data we can directly record it, or directly we find the finding from people, right? Not by grounded. That was not initially work done on that. Simply we just the data directly from whatever from the person from whom we doing the research. Now, without having the consider, they simply read to the collection of the original statistical information. They are also the current and fresh, right? For example, the data collected by the National Sample Survey Organization and the Central Statistical Organization for the various surveys are the primary in the character. If an experiment is conducted to know the effect of a drug on patient, So the observation taken on each patient constitute the primary data. Fine. For example, see, in an experiment is conducted to know the effect of drug on a patient. So what is effect of that drug? So what we do, you do the research from that patient who are taking that drug, right? So what you got the data directly from that patients who are using those drugs to find the effectiveness of that drug, right? So this kind of the data is called the primary data, which you directly from you got the data from right? Merits. They have more accurate, they are reliable, they are suitable for the sampling queries, they are original in character, and they are latest or current information. Demerits. Primary data are of the following demerits. They are inconvenient because difficult to get from each and every individual. They are expensive, which involves a great amount of planning and supervision. They are consume more time and energy. Okay. They may prove inaccurate if the enumerators are not trained well. We get the inaccurate data. Then enumerator who collect the data on that are not trained. Large number of investigation are needed. There may be the personal bias and the prejudice. If the respondents are non-responsive, the quality of the collected information suffers a lot. Right? Now, one is primary, second one is secondary data. Secondary data are those data which have already been collected by the somebody for others or for some other purpose. They are to be the finished form of the investigation. For example, if the statistical data given in different population census are again processed to the original trends of the population growth, sex ratios, mortality rates, etc. It is a term as a secondary data. That means you are using the data which are used initially by some others, right? So if we are, because they have already collected the data from sources and for what they need, and you are using that data. This is called the secondary data. But see what happened. There are a lot of some organizations, right, who are collecting the data, those who are collecting the data for the investigation. For example, agencies collecting the data for finding of habits of a person, eating habit, smoking habit, drinking habit of a person, right? For example, a company have collected the data for say the eating habits, right? Eating habit means how much they spend on the eating. Either they are using fast foods or the normal foods, the Chinese foods, or the Thai foods, or the Punjabi foods, North Indian foods, non-vegetarian or vegetarian, whatever that, right? So For example, Pizza Hut, Domino's, right? Domino's have made a research, right? So he gave the research to a company, do the research for me, find the fooding habit of this. With the help of that research, he may make up policies or whatever the facts Domino's need, right? So that company has collected the data for the Domino's only, right? So what they do, they might be the sell that data to some other companies like a McDonald's, KFC, right? Because initially Domino's have done the research for their own use, right? So they might, the company, those who have collected the data, those who have collected the information for this Domino's, they might be sell the data for other companies, right? So that means this is the secondary data for the others, because that company have already used the data. Fine. Okay. Now, merits. They requires only the minimum cost for the collection. Okay, we can only use the quick survey or investigation. They save time, money, and energy. The errors occurred can be easily eliminated by the primary investigators. These are the merits. And demerits are like they may be the outdated information, because initially they have collected how much old data is, so that it might be outdated information in there. They may have the no accuracy of data. They are only the secondary in characters. In some cases, all the particulars may not available. Sources of secondary data. So what is the source for the primary data? Yes. What is the source of
primary data, sir? Basically, questionnaire survey, photography collection, interview, questionnaires, observation.
Yes, that means the source is directly from the individual in general. Source.
Yes, yes.
Fine. So in the secondary data, there are mainly the two types of sources, published and unpublished, right?
Yes.
Published sources. The various government agencies, international bodies, local agencies generally publish the sources of the data, which are the secondary in character. The following are the important published sources of the secondary data. Official publication brought out for the settled state and the local government, such as the pay commission reports, in Indian population census reports, right? They cannot publish the whole data. They can publish the reports. With the help of that reports, we can, that is a collection of data kind of, right? That means some research, they want like average income group of poor people, or what are the average collection of income tax, right? So they can easily get these data from the published sources, right? Officially publication brought out by the international bodies like International Monetary Fund, International Bank for the Reconstruction and Development, United Nations organizations, they can collect it from these groups also. Right? The Reserve Bank of the India publication of the bulletin, namely the RBI bulletin, and the official records of the nationalized commercial banks and the State Bank of India, right? So what they do, they publish the bulletin. In that bulletin, you can get most of the information of the nationalized and the commercial banks over there, right? Publication of the trade unions, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, such as the Federation of the Indian Chambers and Commerce, trade bulletins issued by the stock exchange, large business houses like this, right? Publication brought out by the individual research scholars, research centers reports submitted by the economics and the statistical organizations. Publication brought out by the National Sample Survey Organization, Central Statistical Units. Right. So these are from these they can get the published sources. Some unpublished sources, that means the record of the government offices, business concerns such as accounts growth. Right. So they can get the data from that offices only. Right. Research undertaken by the research institutions like a scholar's site. Unpublished source of the data are also available with the trade unions, chamber of commerce, labor, like this, because they have data, but they unpublish the data, whatever they required for our research. So we can find it from that. So we can pay them price and we get the data. Central Bureau of Investigation records, district electoral office records. Secondary data should be used only with a careful examination of the data. It is because of the fact that the secondary data may sometimes be the unsuitable or inadequate, inaccurate, unreliable, or incomparable to serve the purpose of the present investigation or inquiries. So the following are some precautions in using the secondary data. First of all, the suitability of the data available for the purpose of the present inquiry should be certain. Whatever the data required to you, that is suitable for the purpose of your research. Adequacy of the data available for the present analysis should be certain. That means the data are adequate for you. That means whatever the data you required, because you need a much big data, so that kind of you have the adequate data for that. The degree of the accuracy of the design and the actual achieved should also be taken into the consideration. The degree of accuracy, how much accurate that data is, that is also important for us. Right? The degree of the reliability of the secondary data is to be assessed from the sources, compilers, and the capacity of the obtained current statistics of the purpose of interpretation. That means the degree of the reliability. That means how much that data is reliable to you, reliable to your research work. Fine, that is also. The question of comparability of the data over the period of time should be the issue. That means compare of that data with over the period of time. That means as compared to the time, the data is comparable or not. Right? For example, we have been the data of 2000. For example, you have the data of 1986 data of any price or something. So that means it has no use for you. So that means during that time you have need the data, that means which are more effectful in that time of periods. Right? The secondary data should only use only when the scope and the object of the present inquiries are commensurate with the original inquiries. That means the data, whatever the data they have, that means and what you need, it must be some comparable to that. That means you can use that data, you can easily compare with that data, which are useful to you. Right? The definition of the units in which the data are expressed should be kept stable in the present inquiry also. Definition of the units in which the data are expressed should be kept stable in the present inquiry. Right? That means stable in this, not the variables are moving. That means the numbers are not jumping from low to high or high to low. They must be the stable data. While using the secondary data, the general information should be obtained regarding the type of investigators, editors, tabulators employed in the primary data collected method, in the primary data collection method. That means general information should be obtained regarding the type of investigators. Right. The sources and the method used should be the clearly known. Okay. Now, methods of collecting the primary data. Now, methods of collecting the primary data. First one is a direct personal investigation. As the name itself suggests that in this method, information is collected personally from the sources concerned. Under this, investigator personally interviews everyone who is in the position of supply of the information he requires, right? So investigator must be the possess the following qualities so that genuine data may be collected. Firstly, the investigator must be the totally unbiased, right? It should be collected unbiasedly. Secondly, the investigator must have the touch of sustaining the calm and unflustered inquiring environment so that the truth can be revealed. Thirdly, the investigator must be the sociable and the pleasing personality so that the interviewed do not run away from him. Fourthly, the interviews should be natural in matters of clan, sex, race, religion, etc. Merits of this method: original data collected, correct and the required information is gathered, personal presence of investigator helps in keeping the flexibility in the inquiry, depending on the types of respondent, problems of no answer is solved to great extent. If someone has a no answer, then he can do, it can help in doing that answer, right? Uniformity of the data collected is the maintained. Key merits. Requires a lot of time and the personal presence of the investigator in every time. Method is very costly and due to above reason, right? Cannot be used idly in case of wide investigating field. Too much dependent on the skill of investigator. Not suitable when the respondents are reluctant to the reveal of the truth when they approach directly. Indirect oral investigation. Sometimes the requirement of the information such that the people are reluctant to the answer when they approach directly. So sometimes it is not possible for the investigator to be the present personally with each respondent. In such case, method of the indirect oral investigation can be the used for the collecting the primary data. However, the order of ensure the genuine data of the essential, that is only those persons should be interviewed who possess the full knowledge, are capable of expressing themselves, are not prejudiced, and are rational. In this method, small list of the question is prepared and then the different people known as a witness and their answers are recorded. There should be the no motivation to give the colors of the merit of what.
Sir, one question.
Yes.
Actually, what is the exact difference between this indirect oral investigation and direct, I mean, uh,
Oral,
uh,
oral and personal,
yes,
right?
direct personal investigations and indirect oral investigation. Where is the exact difference?
See, for example, I'm doing research, right? So I came to you for the investigation to collect the data, right? I came to you at your place and I'm
Mhm.
the data. That is a
Mhm.
direct personal investigation,
Okay.
right? Right. Now, that means you told me that I'm not give the interview directly to you.
Okay.
What I do uh, is then it is not,
Oh, acha, acha. Okay.
I make some different media, right?
Mhm.
Indirect connecting the oral by the
Okay.
in telephonic or whatever I have
Mhm.
collected the data from, right? So why feel maybe they brought them under the investigation. This method save time and the labor, hence it is less costly. There is no need to depend too much on the personal skills of the investigator. It is easier to deal in all aspects of it. Demerits, greater care of the vigilance is needed to in the correct value. Due to alarms need to be the made for the conscious and unconscious biasness of the person giving the information, right? There is possibility that witness color of the information according to their interest, dependence of local correspondents increases when the field then carries wide. Now, local reports. This method is generally used by the newspapers, periodicals, news channel, etc. The government also collects the information about the prices, agriculture, production, etc. by this method. Right?
सर
Yes.
सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है
हाँ.
ये सर प्राइमरी डेटा कलेक्शन आई मीन टू से मेथड्स ऑफ कलेक्टिंग प्राइमरी डेटा सबके लिए एक है मेडिकल डोमेन में एक
हाँ
अदर
हाँ 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 सब फॉर ईच एंड एवरी डोमेन ये यही रहता है, ऐसे ही रहता है.
सर और एक बात है
हाँ.
सर एक्चुअली मैं एक डेटा इन डेटा कलेक्टर मैं ऑलरेडी इफेक्टेड एरिया में हो गया जैसे मतलब एक स्टेट में 2 डिफरेंट डिस्ट्रिक्ट में कोविड का रेट ज्यादा है ठीक है तो वहां पे जाके मैं डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन करूँ वो इफेक्टेड पर्सन को इन कनेक्शन ऑफ प्राइमरी डेटा कलेक्शन.
हाँ, see, if the data is very large, right? If the data is very large, then what you do, because होता क्या है जब आप रिसर्च करते हो ना, it is also time consuming. Obviously, when it is time consuming, then it is a costly, right? So you have to see that what you need. If you need a data of the maximum people or large data, then this is not possible for that, right? So what you do for this is, see, in the COVID cases, for example, you want to find some findings for the COVID patients, right? So
Yes.
government collected the number of COVID patients with their phone numbers, right? So
Yes.
now you got the phone numbers of that COVID patients,
Okay.
make them call and collect the data. That is the oral investigation, indirect oral investigation.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
सर और एक यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन का कोई मतलब सर जैसे एज रिलेटेड अबव 60 एज को ज्यादा हो रहा है बिलो 60 को कम हो रहा है तो ये क्वेश्चनरी कुछ गाइडलाइन है मतलब ऐसे क्वेश्चन करो ये क्वेश्चन क्या क्या क्वेश्चन करना
देखो,
चाहिए.
सुनो, अगर आप कलेक्ट कर रहे हो ऐसा डेटा फॉर द कंपेयर ऑफ द 2 डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऑफ द कोविड पेशेंट्स, राइट? तो
Yes.
आपके पास डेटा आ रहा है, राइट? सो व्हाट डू यू
Yes.
आर कलेक्टिंग द डेटा? फॉर एग्जांपल मैंने अभी बताया कि ओरल इन्वेस्टिगेशन से आपने डेटा कलेक्ट कर लिया, तो सबसे पहले तो उसका नाम पूछोगे, आपका नाम आपके पास होगा,
Yes.
राइट? देन एज होगी उसकी, तो
Age.
यू
Yes.
कैन नो दैट ये नाम है, ये एज है, और देन व्हाटएवर यू रिक्वायर,
Checks.
whatever the facts you require, that means of fooding habit or his daily routine, right? Or whatever it is, because the daily routine you came to know that उसकी ये हैबिट थी जिसकी वजह से कोविड उसको हुआ,
Okay.
उसकी ये हैबिट थी, उसकी स्मोकिंग हैबिट थी जिसकी वजह से उसको कोविड हुआ, उसकी ड्रिंकिंग हैबिट थी जिसकी वजह से हुआ, राइट? उसकी इम्यूनिटी लो थी, लो क्यों थी? बिकॉज ऑफ दिस रीजन उसको ये हुआ, उसको ये ऑलरेडी बीमारी थी, उसको पहले क्या नाम, उसको डायबिटीज थी, वो पेशेंट डायबिटिक था, उसको ये हुआ।
Okay.
यू हैव द
मतलब सर,
वेरियस, बोलो बोलो।
yes. मतलब सर वो डिजीज किस किस के ऊपर ज्यादा डिपेंड करता है?
हाँ, तो वो डेटा कलेक्ट करोगे ना, तभी तो आपको पता चलेगा,
यस 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 यस।
राइट? नाउ अभी क्या है वो फाइंडिंग, बिकॉज आपने देखा, फॉर एग्जांपल आपने देखा कि दो, आप जो चाह रहे हो कि आपने किसी दो डिस्ट्रिक्ट को कंपेयर किया, राइट? दो डिस्ट्रिक्ट
Yes.
कोविड पेशेंट में, भाई यहाँ इस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ज्यादा, इस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में कम है, एंड यू वांट टू कंपेयर दिस। तो वो जिस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ज्यादा है तो उसके वो फाइंड्स, भाई क्या क्या पॉइंट्स की वजह से, कौन कौन से फैक्ट्स की वजह से वहाँ कोविड के पेशेंट ज्यादा हुए,
Yes yes.
हो गए, कि वहाँ वो ज्यादा बाहर जाते थे पेशेंट्स, वो पेशेंट्स की फूडिंग हैबिट क्या रही, उनका एनवायरनमेंट कैसा था, ऐसे भी तो पॉइंट निकलेंगे। बिकॉज अभी तो रिसर्च चल रही है, उन्होंने निकाल दिया डायबिटिक को जल्दी कैच करता है, उसको जल्दी
Yes.
राइट? सो व्हाट यू हैव सीन द रेट in the children is as compared to youngsters is less, right?
Yes.
क्यों है ज्यादा? सोचने वाली बात है कि हमने देखा कोविड पेशेंट ज्यादातर 25-30 से ऊपर के ही निकले,
Yes sir.
क्यों? वाई? व्हाट इज द रीजन कि वो उनकी एज हम 25 से ज्यादा क्यों आई, 30 से ज्यादा वाले क्यों निकले, बच्चों को कम क्यों हो रहा है?
Yes.
तो कोई तो फैक्ट होगा ना कि क्यों कम हुआ। अगर हम
Yes.
छोटे बच्चों को और बड़े आफ्टर 30 इयर्स के जो यंगस्टर्स को लेंगे, व्हाट आर द डिफरेंस बिटवीन देम? ऐसा क्या डिफरेंस है कि उनको ज्यादा हो रहा है, उनको कम हो रहा है? तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वो पॉइंट हमने देखने की, हाँ यार हो सकता है कि वो खेल कूदते ज्यादा हो, या हो सकता है उसमें ये ज्यादा हो सकता है वो ज्यादा हो, वो जो भी रीजन है वो आपको
Okay.
देखना, रीजन से रिसर्च मेरी इफेक्टफुल बन सकती है।
Okay sir.
ये रिसर्चर का काम होता है कि वो पॉइंट्स देखेगा, भाई पॉइंट्स में लूंगा, कंपेयर करूंगा, जिसकी वजह से
वहाँ
मतलब
पे ज्यादा हो रहा है
ज्यादा और
वेरिएशन
हाँ,
ज्यादा
मतलब
हो रहा है effect हो
वो फाइंडिंग्स आपने निकालनी है। आपने सोचना है कि भाई ये रीजन हो सकता है, आपने सोचा कि भाई ये रीजन हो सकता है कि छोटे बच्चे पढ़ते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल छोटे बच्चे पढ़ते हैं या छोटे बच्चे खेलते हैं, राइट?
रहा है। Yes.
they are playing and their eating habit is good, for example, or they are like very active। वो एक्टिव का कारण क्या है? व्हाट आर द रीजन ऑफ देयर एक्टिवनेस? तो आपने सोचा ये हो सकता है, राइट? आपने सोचा ये हो सकता है, तो आपने फिर उसके पॉइंट्स निकालने शुरू किए। आपने जब इंटरव्यू लिया, बच्चों का इंटरव्यू लिया, अच्छा आपका बच्चे नहीं है, ठीक है, वो क्या करता है? अच्छा वो पढ़ता भी है, ठीक है पढ़ता है, ओके, किस टाइम पे पढ़ता है? वो इस टाइम पे पढ़ता है, राइट? अच्छा खाता है, हाँ हाँ खाता है, वो क्या खाता है? दूध पीता है, हाँ दूध पीता है, वो ये बॉर्नवीटा पीता है, बॉर्नवीटा पीता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट? सो यू आर गैदरिंग द पॉइंट्स, भाई क्या क्या इफेक्ट हो सकता है, वो इतना एक्टिव क्यों है, वो इतना प्ले क्यों करता है, वो इतना पढ़ता क्यों है, वो जिनको नहीं हुआ वो ज्यादा बच्चे पढ़ रहे हैं, ज्यादा बच्चे खेल रहे हैं, और जिनको हुआ, भाई क्यों हुआ तुम्हें? अच्छा तुम ज्यादा बाहर जाते हो, अच्छा ठीक है ज्यादा बाहर जाते हो, और तुम क्या करते हो? मैं घर में सोया ही रहता हूँ, उसको हो गया, एग्जाम्पल दे।
Yes.
तो ये आपको पॉइंट्स देखने होंगे कि किस पॉइंट, वो कौन सा पॉइंट इफेक्टफुल होगा।
Okay sir.
Now,
So that means that we have to formulate determinants.
formulate.
Determinants. What are the determinants which
Yes,
are working? Yes.
see, obviously you have to find the points those points which are effectful or which are affecting. No, that is your judgment. वो आपको देखना है कि क्या हो सकता है.
Yeah, there will be a pool of determinants among that which is affecting. I mean,
Yes.
because of which the cases are more.
Yes.
Just like we have
Yes,
these factors like that. But maybe that determinants, the actual determinants, which is responsible for the incidence of the COVID cases, may not be there in my list. Because I'm arbitrarily coming up with some determinants. Maybe that the determinants is responsible for this occurrence of COVID. Maybe that I may be missing some determinants also.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Next point is schedules and the questionnaire methods. This method is usually used in the private individual research workers, non-official institutions, even in the government. In this method, list of the question is prepared and information is collected about the problem, right? This can be done by distributing questionnaire to the persons having about that information, sending the information by post or email to the purpose from whom information is collected. Using enumerators to send the questionnaire to the people who also help in filling the questionnaires. This method is adopted when there is possibility of language problem. A respondent is illiterate. When there is probability of avoidance of answer in the response. Right. So questionnaire is what? Questionnaire is a kind of, for example, in a paper, you wrote the question, some questions related to your research, right? And giving that questions to that other people's. Right? Okay. Now, questionnaire method of essential of good questions. So there is a point, that means how you can make a questionnaire, right? What are the points in the minds you have to see? Question should be started with a covering letter, written in the polite language. Question should not be the very long, right? Unnecessary details of the question must be avoided. Questionnaire should be the frame in the simple way of easy language. Asking the personal questions to avoid should be avoided. Personal questions should be asked. Questions should be tend to hurt the sentiments of the people, so avoid those questions. Corroboratory questions should be incorporated in the good questionnaire. The question which meant for the cross-checking of the answers, that is a corroboratory, right? Unless and until it is a very essential questions, those answering requires calculation should not be asked, right? Questionnaire should be the attractive and the impressive, right? So these quality must be in this. Which method is the best for the collecting data? The nature of investigation, object and scope of inquiries. The nature of investigation, what is the nature of investigation? Then according to that you can design. Then object and scope, what you want. Budget, what is the budget of yours? Degree of accuracy desired, right? Similarly, time factors. So all these points, and having according to these points, you can collect the primary data. Got it? Is that clear, beta?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now this is over. So the next classification, and we do in the next class.